Trump and Brad Garlinghouse, did they meet? And if they did, this is massive, massive news. It's going to create an explosion in the cryptocurrency industry. I'm going to take you much deeper. So if you have some time, get a pen and paper out. I want you to understand deeper than just this emotional response on a daily basis. And I want to pull you to a 30,000 foot overview and show you what is actually happening. What you have to understand is this is a systematic change in your financial system. And this just isn't happening right now. This was slowly and methodically planned out, meeting by meeting, person by person. Okay. Problem, reaction, solution. What we're seeing is a systematic switch in our financial system. And there will never be a time in our living history where the normal everyday person can actually invest in the new infrastructure. Imagine that. Imagine that. You, for this moment in time, have the ability to invest in the new financial system for the next 100 years. So this is going to be a longer video. There's going to be 3 major videos that I'm going to show you. The first one is one that I've showed over and over again on my channel because you need to see it. 7 years ago, Trump told us this was going to happen. Number 2 is I'm going to show you Brad Garlinghouse on Fox News last week talking about Ripple and potentially a meeting with Trump. Next, I'm going to show you on the back end, Michael Saylor giving us the reason why the government needs this. Okay. There's a reason why they sued Ripple. There's a reason why they sued Ripple, guys. It's much bigger than this. The system was always designed to be blockchain. This was not something that we're running off to decentralization. It was all built for the new financial system. So pay attention, don't get played. And on the back end of every video, I'm going to share with you exactly what I'm doing. So I'm just going to warn you, this is going to be a longer video, but you should watch all the way through. You should take notes because this is the key to not get wrecked, to understand what you hold, to get a long-term frame of mind, and to understand this could potentially create generational wealth for your family. This was 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Listen.
Representatives of China, I believe that will all work out very well for everybody. China, Japan, the United States, and everybody in the region. As far as the currency devaluations, I've been complaining about that for a long time. And I believe that we will all eventually, and probably very much sooner than a lot of people understand or think, we will be all at a level playing field. Because that's the only way it's fair. That's the only way that you can fairly compete in trade and other things. And we will be on that field, and we will all be working very hard to do great for our country. But it has to be fair, and we will make it fair. I think the United States is going to be an even bigger player than it is right now by a lot. When it comes to trade, a lot of that will have to do with our tax policy, which you'll be seeing in the not too distant future.
Okay. Now Trump is coming in all in on crypto, a pro crypto cabinet. House and Senate flipped pro crypto, even playing field, even monetary system. Listen to the next video. Okay. So that was 7 years ago. Now here's Brad Garlinghouse on Fox. It says Trump has embraced crypto industry. Brad Garlinghouse says, listen to this. So we're going to listen to the whole thing. I think it's important. 4 minutes.
Not for XRP. It is exploding toward the $1 mark. Right now, it stands at 87 cents. This is a gain of 4.5%. As investors in the 7th largest cryptocurrency are optimistic about the future of the now $3 trillion industry under a Trump presidency. The blockchain payments company Ripple, which uses XRP to enable transactions, jumped dramatically since election night. And it saw big surges earlier this week on speculation that its CEO held a meeting with the president-elect following his victory, and speculation that anti-crypto SEC chief Gary Gensler might soon announce his resignation, which we just talked about with former SEC director Norm Champ. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse is here in a Fox Business exclusive in studio to discuss all of this. Okay,
now before we go into this, get your pen and paper. Remember what Trump said. We're going to be on an even playing field sooner than we know it. That was 7 years ago.
70% gains since Election Day. Let me guess, you are a Donald Trump fan, at least of a presidency as he oversees a crypto world that he's very open-armed to.
For sure. Like what a difference 10 days makes. We, for years in the United States, have had an attack on the crypto industry. It's been war. And we finally, I think, have a crypto president. The crypto industry has embraced Trump. Trump has embraced the crypto industry.
He really has.
I think it's very genuine. And I think he sees the opportunity. He sees innovation. He sees entrepreneurship. And look, I'm very excited about what the future holds. I'll point out, you were saying that XRP is up 70+%. Since Election Day, the best performing crypto assets are all U.S. companies or U.S. technologies. This shouldn't be a surprise. The United States SEC has been manipulating and putting pressure on these U.S. companies, U.S. technologies, and now that pressure comes off and they explode upwards. So we shouldn't be surprised by that.
Okay, let's pause for just a moment. So what you're seeing is darkness coming to light, guys. In the actor space, right? Hollywood, you're seeing it now in the SEC. You're going to see it in governmental structures. You got RFK coming in to wreck shop. You got Elon and the government efficiency. You got Trump going to lower taxes and bring in innovation, guys. This is the greatest time in human history.
So that is since when that it's all U.S.? That
really since Election Day.
Okay, since Election Day, then that really makes sense.
It does. And if you could even put a number on this, like what has Gary Gensler's war on crypto, you can put an amount on it. We went from 2.2 trillion to basically 3 trillion. So this was an $800 billion unlock just because we now are going to have rational actors who act lawfully. You know, as you know well, the states have now even participated in suing the SEC and saying you are not acting lawfully and enforcing the laws.
I got to ask you, the price of XRP earlier this week spasmed. It jumped about 10% after you liked a tweet earlier that suggested you may have met with President-elect Donald Trump. Any truth to those rumors?
I mean, I think like many of your guests today, I'm not going to comment on too many specifics here. Suffice it to say.
Okay, that's a yes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I respect that. But to me, it's a yes.
We have been active throughout this election cycle in being very pro-crypto, pro-innovation. And how do we make sure that this Congress and the president obviously it's a totally new day. And
okay, you're going to see something. If you haven't seen XRP Unleashed or you haven't got your digital copy, I'm part of a documentary that's going to show you the truth behind this. Okay. Ripple was sued for a reason, guys. Ripple was sued for a reason. I almost can guarantee that Brad Garlinghouse met with Trump. We're going to be on an even playing field sooner than we know it. Bitcoin is now going to be pulled underneath the treasury. Okay. This was the plan all along. They sued Ripple because it's the most disruptive technology in the world.
I could not be happier about like a Congress that I think is, as Norm said earlier, your guest, we got to get away from regulation through enforcement. That makes no sense.
What about this yesterday, this lawsuit filed by 18 attorneys generals, I believe all from Republican states, suing the SEC, saying that they are allegedly overreaching when it comes to crypto regulation. Did you know that was coming at all?
We did not. And I say to all 18 of those attorney generals, welcome to the party. Look, we have been fighting, Ripple's been fighting this fight since the very beginning. We've spent literally over $150 million fighting the SEC, an unlawful war. And so I'm thrilled they're joined. I wish they would have joined earlier.
And you're going to see why they went after Ripple. Ethereum played a big part in this, guys. Ethereum played a big part in this. The whole essence of these, you see with the new presidency coming in, truth is coming out. Authenticity is the new currency, guys. Brad Garlinghouse is a legit CEO. David Schwartz is a beast, man. This is one of the most well-run crypto companies, authentic, genuine, really here to help America and worldwide. Authenticity will win. Mark my word.
But even in their case, what they filed cites the Ripple case over and over. And so they see what has happened. They see how Gensler has overreached. And I only wish there was a way to hold the SEC, hold Gensler, hold some of these people accountable.
And we should say that earlier this week, Robinhood relisted XRP on its platform driven by what they believe might be this new, more welcoming regulatory environment?
For sure. I mean, this goes back to like the U.S. has finally unlocking this hostility. And I do think things like Robinhood is saying, I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner, but I'm glad they did it now. And, I expect
Robinhood, by the way, up 37% this month alone. Nice move for Robinhood.
Okay. So that was, we looked at Trump right here. He said we're going to be on an even playing field. That was 7 years ago. Brad Garlinghouse potentially met with Trump. The Ripple case is coming to an end. Gary Gensler is going to quit, right? The Avengers are coming in. You see them down here. The Avengers are coming in. The darkness is coming to light. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. posted this: Bitcoin is a currency of freedom, a hedge against inflation for middle-class Americans, a remedy against the dollar's downgrade from the world's reserve currency, an off-ramp from ruinous national debt, huge national debt. Bitcoin will have no stronger advocate. So this is, I mean, we're literally watching an Avengers movie. This is crazy. Bitcoin and XRP are going to be massive investments in the future. So Bitcoin Magazine, just in, the CFTC releases notice clearing the way for spot Bitcoin ETF options to be listed. And I'll leave you with this video right here, and I'll explain to you exactly what I'm doing during these times. This is Michael Saylor. He's going to break down what it means for Bitcoin and the US.
Thank you. I title a presentation, Bitcoin, the Red Wave, and the Crypto Renaissance. So today you're going to hear me talk about a few things you might have heard before, but they're now refreshed. And then you're going to hear me speak about a few things I've never spoken about before, which I think will be interesting to the group. But I'll start with the problem that we all know. The economic problem is that very few asset classes outperform monetary inflation. If you're trying to beat the cost of capital, the S&P index, it's very, very challenging to do it. And everybody in the world is looking for a solution to this problem. The companies don't have a solution. If the company can't grow 15% a year or more, institutional investors lose interest, liquidity in the stock dries up, there is no options market. And companies are required by normal Treasury rules to use U.S. Treasuries as their capital asset. And if a company is sitting on top of Treasury bills, they're losing 10% of their capital a year. They're underperforming the cost of capital by 10%. $100 billion of capital is going to cost your shareholders $10 billion a year. So companies are, in essence, type 1 diabetics. Every company with a Treasury strategy is a diabetic. You're in essence bleeding capital off your balance sheet. And of course, intelligent CEOs or CFOs understand that. So their solution, of course, is just give away all the money. Like we give away the capital. We buy the stock back and we lever up 144 to 1, or I dividend it out. But the solution of my wealth is toxic, so I'm going to give it all away is, in my opinion, not a recipe for living happily ever after. And that's what we do to most operating companies. There's a political problem. The political problem is, how do we grow the economy of the United States? How do we deliver prosperity to our people? And how do we overcome a deficit? And all that while maintaining global leadership. So everyone, every institution, every investor, every company, every politician is struggling with these problems today. Bitcoin's the solution. Why is it the solution? Is it the solution? A lot of people are wondering that. Well, I'll put the Bitcoin return for the last 4 years on this chart I just showed you, and you can see Bitcoin is just punching a hole in all the traditional capital markets. This is
Okay, I'll pause right there. You can go to his Twitter and watch the whole thing. I highly recommend it. Okay. So if you're new to crypto, or you're new to like diving into understanding how the system works, okay, we'll just look at logic and facts. So BlackRock all of a sudden, guys, in 2023 says we're going all in on Bitcoin when they told you it's a fraud. They told you it's used for money laundering. And then Larry Fink said to us, the largest asset manager in the world, that it's now a flight to quality. Okay. You have now a pro crypto White House. You have a Bitcoin designed that if it's pulled underneath the treasury, Cynthia Loomis has already created the bill, that it'll shrink the balance sheet of America in half by 2045. And then you have technologies like Ripple, and now Brad Garlinghouse supposedly, allegedly met with Trump. Now that it's pro crypto, Ripple, the company, a well-run company that literally can solve the liquidity crisis, the Nostra Vostra double account spend, and make payments super cheap. Trump tells us 7 years ago we're going to be on an even playing field sooner than we know it. It's going to make trade very, very fair. And now here you are. So what did I do? From 2020 to 2022, I realized this is super unrealistic. I mean, our portfolios are just skyrocketing, okay? So I was in a vertical strategy before. I went to school, I got a job, I had a 401k. That's a vertical strategy. I'm hoping that I can retire. At retirement age, I'm hoping that the market would be favorable and I get taxed on the back end, okay? So there's multiple strategies that I implemented. Number one is I realized that this was unrealistic. So I used what's called the risk pyramid, okay? Now let's talk about Bitcoin first. I am not touching my Bitcoin. I'm going to accumulate as much as I can over my lifetime. The reason why is, think about this for just a moment. Bitcoin, the way it's designed, 94% of the supply is gone. 80% of that supply has not moved. It's an anomaly. 6% is left. So only 6% Bitcoin left. Every 4 years, it's going to become more valuable, more valuable. So you have an asset that just keeps going like this. Okay. In the short term, it's going to be like this. Long term, it's going to be like this. So you have a US dollar that only has 3% purchasing power. I get paid by my companies in US dollar. And so what I do is I take that money and I put it into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So if I take $100 from in pay, that only has 3% purchasing power. So I'm moving it into something that's going to give me future income. Does that make sense? So if I put in 100, that could be a couple thousand in the future. So every time I get paid, I'm multiplying my future self. So Bitcoin is my store of value. All my other cryptocurrencies, alternative coins, every other crypto, XRP, all those other cryptos, okay? I exit 50%. Now, why do I do that? I'm holding 50% long term. I'm exiting 50% because it's completely unrealistic to make this much money in a short amount of time. Now we're in 2024 to 2026. It's going to do the same thing it did in 2020 to 2022. It's going to cruise up. I pull profits on the way up. I pull house money. I pull it down the risk pyramid and I stuff it into insurance. I use cash value life insurance. Rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, follow rule number one, Warren Buffett. I literally take house money and I insure it. That's not my full strategy, right? I'm going to be heavy in Bitcoin. I'm at 50% of my cryptos left. Okay. But I'm diversifying in things that I can borrow against tax-free when I retire. Tax code 77028. So I have my cash value life insurance. I can borrow against it tax-free in my future because of tax code 77028. It compounds every 7 years at 10%. And my principal is guaranteed. So that's a part of my strategy. So I'm taking some off the table. I'm diversifying, okay? Because markets go up, markets go down. From there, I'm buying more silver. I'm going to get into real estate because now I need tax liabilities. I'm good in business, information, technology, attention. As I increased my earned income, I put it back into the capital markets. My income is going to go into deflationary assets like Bitcoin. Why would I store my money in the bank when they're putting my money into insurance? They're putting my money in the capital markets and they're lending it out to you. Why would you store your money in a bank? I store my money in my own cash value life insurance. I'm storing it into my cryptocurrencies and I can borrow against those. I can borrow against both in the future. I can borrow against my cash value and I can borrow against my assets in the future that are going to continue to appreciate tax-free. We have to start thinking different. We're no longer in the era of this is real. This is a real thing happening, guys. We were all told to look this way, but for some reason I looked that way. For some reason I was like, why do they keep telling this is a pet rock? It's used for money laundering. They were accumulating it, guys, and they're accumulating it big time right now. So that's exactly what I do. Okay. I was able to build financial freedom since 2020 to 2024. And now we're working to this next bull run. We're going to activate the same strategy we did 2026 to 2030. Man, that is like this bull run is amazing, but we still got 6 years. Okay. I mean, there's a sense of urgency right now. We're going into the bull market. And around Thanksgiving, you're going to see crypto just go straight up and Bitcoin's going to go straight up. And then all your other cryptos are going to go skyrocket first quarter. Okay. So you got to have a game plan. That's the key. You got to have a game plan. You got to have an exit plan. You got to have a diversification plan. Okay. And you got to learn how to take your deflationary, your deflating dollar and move it into deflationary assets. That's your number one thing. It could be gold, could be Bitcoin, could be whatever you think it is. But you got to learn how to move your money. You get paid. You trade time for money. Say you trade time for money. You get $3,000 on Friday. The $3,000 they give you in your bank account, it has 3% purchasing power. So why would you hold it in there? Move it into something that is going to be deflationary. And if you took that couple $100 from your pay and paid yourself first and put it into something deflationary, that $300 could be $3,000 in the future. But no, you're taking that $300 and you're putting it into a fucking car that's deflating, excuse my language, or you're letting it sit in a savings account and they're giving you 0.025%. And they're taking your 300 and putting it into Bitcoin, capital markets, or lending it to the next person, making 23% interest on you. We got to start to think like a bank. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, warriors, rise, get your shit together. Huge warning if you're still here. I will never DM you. QFS accounts are scams. Do not fall for those. I do not invest people's crypto. I do not have a trading platform. I'll never ask about your crypto. I'll never ask you to send me money. Those are all scammers. That's not me on WhatsApp. That's not me on Telegram. Be very careful. I created resources for you, free resources. If you go down the description of this video or click my social media platform, the first resource is I get hundreds of messages on how I use cash value life insurance. Okay. What I do may not work for you. I have a team in all 50 states and Canada ready to answer those types of questions. I can share with you my strategy, but one more important is, what do you need? So we do what's called a needs assessment. We got to figure out what your needs are, and then we can present things to you that will work for you. Okay. It's a free consultation. We do not get paid by the client. Okay. So that's down there. You fill that out. Make sure you show up to your appointment. We're getting hundreds of appointments a week. Okay. So that's with my team. They'll text you, call you, email you. You'll never send them money directly. You'll never send me money directly. So if anybody's asking you to send them money directly, it's a scam. Number two is I've helped 9,000 people worldwide get their shit together. Join my 120-day challenge. Put your blinders on. Community, Q&A calls, market calls, education, live calls. My 120-day challenge that will radically transform your life. So if you feel lost and this all seems confusing to you, if you want to put blinders on, get in a like-minded community just like you and rise together, the Academy is for you. I love you. I'll see you on the inside. Warriors, rise.